Dear friends, welcome to the new course CE 369 Disasters Management. It is a departmental elective for the civil engineering students. It may be a new course for you. So, we are starting from the basics, the fundamentals of the subject. You might have heard the term disaster. What is its root? From where the term has originated? If you inquire about that, you will see that it is from Greek. The prefix dis means bad and the aster means star. It implies that when the stars are in the bad position, a bad event will occur. This is the old belief about disasters. But in modern times, the disaster has been defined by UN as the occurrence of a sudden or major misfortune which disrupts the basic fabric and normal functioning of the society or community. The United Nations International Strategy for Disaster Reduction 2009 UNISDR has a separate definition for disaster, and it is very important also. Now, UNISDR defined disaster as a serious disruption of the functioning of a community or society involving widespread human, material, or environmental losses and impacts which exceed the ability of the affected community to cope using only its own resources. What does it mean? It means that there is a community or society which has been badly affected by the occurrence of an event and which has resulted in widespread human, material, or environmental losses. And what about the impacts of these losses? The impacts exceed the ability of the affected community to cope using its own resources. It simply means that the affected society will not be in most of the time able to cope the effects using the resources available to it. So that definition is being used worldwide for defining the term disasters. Now, friends, if you try to find out the major impacts of disasters, you will see that the first priority impacts are related to loss of life. And it may involve damage or complete destruction of property owned by human beings, damage or degradation of the environment, etc. also. In such cases, the affected community or society will not be in a position to find out a quick solution to the impacts. Now, the damage caused by disasters is immeasurable, and damages vary with the geographical location, climate, and the type of the earth surface, etc. In any case, if you try to find out the effects of disasters, you will see that the disasters disrupt the normal life. It negatively affects the infrastructure. It negatively affects the normal needs like food, shelter, and the health systems. The main features of disasters on an average are, most of the time they are unpredictable. That means unpredictability is a feature. In several cases, it will be unfamiliar to us. Speed will be a factor. Urgency will be another factor. Uncertainty and threat also are similar factors. Now, if you very carefully look into the slide, you will see that there are 4 pictures. Out of the 4 pictures, one is an odd picture. That means in 3 pictures among the 4 pictures given, there is a difference. There is the presence of life in that. But in the case of drought, there is no life. So, such a particular situation where an event is certain to occur, but as a result of such an event, there will not be any chance for serious loss of life, loss of property, damage to environment, etc., then you will consider that event as a hazard. UNISDR has defined hazard also as a dangerous phenomenon, substance, human activity, or condition that may cause loss of life, injury, or other health impacts, property damage, loss of livelihoods and services, socio-economic disruption, or environmental damage. In a simpler way, it can be considered as a potentially damaging physical event, phenomenon, or human activity that may cause the loss of life or injury, property damage, socio-economic disruption, or environmental degradation. So, an event has not occurred, but there is a potential threat for the occurrence of the event. And if it occurs, there may be damage to socio-economic condition, damage to property, or degradation to the environment. So that is about the term hazard. Now we are entering into the classification of disasters. There are mainly 2 types of classifications. The first one is a classification based on the aspect that whether the disaster is the result of a naturally occurring event or whether it is a man-made one. And the second category of disasters is based on the event or process which is responsible for the occurrence of the disaster. Based on the first classification, we will categorize disasters broadly into 2 as natural disasters and man-made disasters. Each one can be further sub-classified into major natural, minor natural, and major man-made and minor man-made disasters. Major natural disasters are large sized events which are occurring naturally. Examples: flood, cyclone, drought, earthquakes, etc. Minor natural disasters are smaller events, but they are also generated due to natural processes. The cold waves, thunderstorms, heat waves, mudslides, and storms are examples for such disasters. And if you consider the major man made disasters, these are events which are of larger effects, but they are due to the activities of human beings. Examples: setting of fire, epidemics, deforestation, the pollution due to agriculture, chemical pollution, wars, etc. And the last group is minor man made disasters, smaller events but generated again by human beings. Road, train accidents, riots, food poisoning, industrial disasters, environmental pollution, etc. are examples. And you consider the second classification. Based on the second classification, there are 5 types. First one is geological disasters. All those disasters which are the result of geological processes. Earthquakes, landslides, volcanoes, and tsunamis are the examples. Second type is hydrometeorological disasters, which are the result of water related meteorological processes, climate related processes. The examples are cyclones, flood, storms, hurricanes, typhoons, drought, heat waves, cold waves, etc. And the third type is biological disasters. The disasters which are the result of activity of biological organisms like bacteria, virus, etc. COVID-19 is an example of a pandemic which is the result of activities of a biological agent. So it is considered as a biological disaster. Other infectious diseases and infestation, etc., are the examples of biological disasters. And the fourth type is chemical disasters, which are the result of processes and safety system failures in industries, maybe industrial effects of natural calamities. Another example: accidents occurring during transportation and at the time of hazardous waste management also there can be some disasters. All of these are considered as chemical disasters. And the fifth and the last one is traffic disasters, which are mostly accidents related to air traffic, water traffic, or surface transport. So, with this, friends, we are going to conclude the first session of CE 369. Thank you. Thank you very much.